Hello friends, I am Mr. S.S. Sazni from Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sharad Institute of Technology Polytechnic, and I am teaching the subject Thermal Engineering. Today, this is our second lecture on the topic Ideal Gas and Ideal Gas Process. In the previous lecture, we have started with the second chapter, that is Ideal Gas and Ideal Gas Process, the 14 marks weighted chapter. So we have seen several points. We have started our chapter with the concept of ideal gas. So ideal gas is perfect gas, which follows all the gas laws at all ranges of pressure and temperature. So we have seen the difference between the real gas as well as ideal gas. And after this difference, we have seen what are the assumptions of ideal gas. So in that we have seen 4 assumptions. That is, a finite volume of gas will contain large number of molecules. Then again, the collision of molecules with one another and with the walls of container is perfectly elastic. So there we have also seen what is the meaning of elastic as well as inelastic collisions. Then we have seen the third assumption, that the molecules are separated by large distances compared to their own dimensions. And then again, the molecules do not exert forces on one another except when they collide. So these were the assumptions of ideal gases, and this question is very much important from exam point of view. Then we have seen what are the several gas laws. We have studied just the names, that is whatever the laws we are going to study in this lecture. So we have in previous lecture we have just completed with the Boyles Law. So we will just take a review of this Boyles Law, and then we will continue with the further laws. So in the Boyles Law we have seen the statement, that is the absolute pressure exerted by a given mass of gas is inversely proportional to the volume when the temperature remains constant. Or simply we can also say that the statement as the product of pressure and volume is always constant if the temperature remains constant. So we have seen the animation for the same, that regarding a container with a piston arrangement. So with the variation in pressure, we have seen how the volume will change. The same animation we have also studied with the help of PV diagram, that is pressure versus volume diagram. And in that we have seen that if pressure of the system is maximum, then in such case the volume will be least. So this was about Boyle's law. And now we are going to see what is the Charles law. The second law, that is Charles law, it was named for the scientist Jack Charles, who came up with the idea for the law around in the year 1780. The law says that when temperature increases, the volume of gas increases, and it will increase at the same rate. This means that as the gas gets hotter and its atoms move faster, the amount of space it takes up or its volume will also increase too. We are having here the simple statement for Charles law, that is it states that the volume of a given mass of perfect gas varies directly as the absolute temperature when pressure is constant. So as whatever we have seen in Boyle's law in a similar pattern, we can also remember this statement by remembering the formula for this Charles law mathematically. So if T is the absolute temperature and V is the volume of gas, then the Charles law is given as V is directly proportional to T. Or in other words, we can also say that the ratio of V by T is always constant. So we will understand now this Charles law with the help of the animation which we are having here. So in the animation, similar to Boyle's law, we are having the same diagram here. So we are having one container which is filled with a certain amount of gas. So that yellow part, that is nothing but the container filled with certain amount of gas. Then again the black particles that are present in this yellow region, that is nothing but the gas molecules. Again, the red color indicates the piston, and the green color, those indicate that certain weight is applied on the piston, so that a certain amount of pressure is exerted on the gas. So here we are not going to change the pressure, because as per the Charles law, the pressure is to be kept constant. So in this diagram you can see that this diagram is not exactly same that what we have seen in Boyles law. So the basic difference you can easily understand here, that we are not going to change any weights. Like in Boyles law, we are having several number of these green color weights that were increase and decrease, and accordingly there was expansion or contraction of the gas. So here just the change is that we are going to keep the weights constant, that is the pressure is going to be constant in this case, and the changing parameter in this case is nothing but the heat. So you can see that the burner which is placed below this container, with the help of this burner we are going to vary or change the amount of heat that is added to this gas. So you can see that the flame is increasing and decreasing, and accordingly there will be change in the volume of the gas. So by observing this animation, you all can notice that as the flame heats the yellow gas in the chamber, the atoms that make it up will spread out, and the gas expands, getting bigger, filling up more space. On the other hand, when the flame goes away, the atoms in the gas slow down and come back together, thus the volume of the gases gets smaller. So the same animation we are again representing it on the temperature versus volume diagram. So we can see the graphical representation here. So if the temperature of the system is minimum, then at the same time the volume of the gas will also be minimum. And if as the temperature goes on increasing, you can also see that the volume of gases is also increasing. So this is the graphical representation for Charles law. Also, if we consider that a gas changes its volume from V1 to V2, and the pressure is constant, whereas the temperature is changing from T1 to T2, then we can write the equation mathematically as follows. Therefore, we will have V1 by T1 is equal to V2 by T2, or we can also write as V2 by V1 is equal to T2 by T1. So this is the simple equation for this process which is shown in the animation. In the next slide, we will see what are the applications of Charles law. So in this slide, we are having a very simple example for Charles law. So you can see that there are two containers in which one container is having ice water, and the other container is having hot water. So if we are assuming one balloon which is filled with certain amount of gas, and if we are just taking this air filled balloon initially in the container having ice water, and if we take the same balloon into another container which is having hot water, then we can observe that the volume of the balloon will get expanded. You can simply observe the change in the size of the balloon that has taken place. This change in size is due to the increased temperature, as a result of which the gas particles that are present within the balloon, they will start to move faster due to the increased temperature, and as a result of this the volume of the balloon will get expand. So this was a simple example related with the Charles law. We will see a few more examples for this Charles law in the next slide. An air balloon is a classic example of Charles law. The working principle of air balloon is very simple. It consists of a bag or an envelope along with a basket to carry the passengers and a fuel source like propane. So on the ignition of the fuel, the air inside the envelope will heat up, and this hot air will expand as per the Charles law. So the heat that is developed by the ignition of fuel, that is propane gas, the temperature of the air will increase. Thus, as per Charles law, the volume of air will also increase, and due to this increase in temperature and volume, the density of this air or gas which is present inside this balloon will decrease as compared to the atmospheric air surrounding this balloon. Thus, due to this density difference, the balloon will get lifted, and thus it will fly in the atmosphere. So this was the application of Charles' law. So another example we are having here regarding the tires. The tires of untouched vehicles, it gets deflated during freezing, that is in winter days, whereas it will get inflated in hot summer days. So this unusual behavior is because of Charles' law, and because in winter the temperature of the surrounding atmosphere is low, and thus due to this low temperature, the air that is present inside the tire, it will also get cooler, and thus it will shrink. Whereas in case of summer season, the air or the surrounding air temperature will increase. Also, when the vehicle is in motion, then due to friction, the tire will get heated, and thus the air which is present inside this tire, it will expand with this temperature. Thus we say that in summer season the tires get inflated, whereas in winter season, due to low temperature, these tires get deflated. So this was another application for the Charles' law. Again, we will see last two more examples for this. So the next example we are having, it is similar to the first one, that is regarding the air balloons. So here if we consider particular the helium balloon, then like tires only, the helium balloons also experience expansion and contraction with the change in the surrounding temperature. So if you take the same balloon where the temperature is very much low, that is in a snow region, then the balloon will get shrinked. Whereas if the same balloon is brought back to a warm place, or we say as a warm room, then it will regain its original shape. And the last example or the last application related to the Charles' law is related with the human lungs. The human lungs are spongy air-filled organs that play an important role in respiration. These lungs continuously perform the function of expansion and contraction, and the air will flow inside the lung when it expands, and it will flow out when they contract. In winter season, the temperature of the air decreases, as a result of which, that is if the temperature of the air inside the body also decreases, then according to the Charles' law, volume is directly proportional to temperature. Thus the volume of air will also decrease with the temperature. Thus the lungs will get shrink, and as a result of which the physical activities like jogging becomes difficult in freezing winter days. So these were the examples related to Charles' law. We will now see the third law related to gas, and this law is called as Gay-Lussac's law. So it is also called as the pressure law, and it was found by the scientist Joseph Louis Gay-Lussac in the year 1808. So he stated that for a given mass and a constant volume of an ideal gas, the pressure exerted on the sides of the container is directly proportional to its absolute temperature. So Gay-Lussac published his experimental results in the year 1808, and they showed the direct relation between the pressure and the temperature of a fixed amount of gas at a constant volume. So once again we will see the statement in this slide. So the statement is as follows. The Gay-Lussac's law states that the pressure of a given mass of gas varies directly with the absolute temperature of the gas when volume is kept constant. So again, just like the other law, that is Boyles law and Charles' law, we can also remember this law by using the mathematical expression. So mathematically we can write the Gay-Lussac's law as follows, that is P is directly proportional to T, where P is nothing but the pressure of the given system, whereas T is the absolute temperature. So we can just rearrange this mathematical expression as P divided by T is equal to K, where K is nothing but constant. If we refer with the diagram that is given on the right hand side, so in this diagram we can see that there is a closed container, and thus we can say that the volume in this case is kept constant, because if we see in the previous two laws, that is in case of Boyles law and Charles law, we have seen that the volume of the container was varying due to the movement of the piston. Thus, in Gay-Lussac's law, you can see that there is no such arrangement of the container and piston. So you can see that the container is closed at both the ends, and thus we say that the container has a constant volume. A certain amount of gas is filled inside this container, and you can see that just below this container, if we are adding some amount of heat, then the molecules are moving faster inside the container, and at the same time the pressure of the gas is also increased. So this pressure rise we can see with the help of the indicator. So the pointer will show that there has been increase in pressure. On the other hand, if we are cooling the same gas with the help of ice, which you can see just placed below the container, so due to this the heat from the gas will be absorbed by that ice, and as a result of which the gas which is present inside the container, it will get cooled down, and due to this decrease in temperature, there will be also decrease in pressure of the gas. So this decrease in pressure of gas can also be observed on the dial. So from this experimentation we can understand that if the temperature of a given mass of gas is increased, then there will be increase in pressure. For comparing the same substance under two different sets of conditions, we can write the Gay-Lussac's law as follows. So we are having your formula, the ratio of P1 to T1, that will be equal to P2 by T2, or we can also rearrange the same formula and write it as the product of pressure and temperature, that is P1 into T2 is equal to P2 into T1. So this was about a Gay-Lussac's law. In the next slide, we will see what are the applications of this Gay-Lussac's law. The first example of Gay-Lussac's law is related with the pressure cooker. So we are having a diagram. The pressure cooker is a sealed utensil for cooking food under steam pressure. And these pressure cookers are generally made up of either aluminum or steel. So when heat is supplied, the water inside the cooker, it will get vaporized, and the steam is produced. The steam is periodically released through a valve to maintain the operating pressure inside the cooker. So you can see the valve which is placed on the top of this pressure cooker. So due to some reason, if this valve fails to perform its function, that is if it gets malfunctioned, then there will be tremendous increase in pressure, as the volume of this pressure cooker is constant, since we are closing this cooker very tightly, and also we are supplying heat through the burner continuously to this pressure cooker. So due to this continuous addition of heat, and if the valve is not working properly, the steam pressure will continuously go on increasing, and finally it may lead to the rupture of the cooker, and it can also cause an unfortunate accident. So this example, that is a pressure cooker, it is related with Gay-Lussac's law, which gives us idea that if the temperature of the system, that is the pressure cooker, if we are adding the heat, that is increasing the temperature continuously, then the pressure will also go on increasing. Now we will see the second example related with the Gay-Lussac's law, and this example is related with the tires of the vehicles, just like we have seen in Charles' law also. So the same example we can also consider for Gay-Lussac's law. So in hot summer days, the inflated tires of the vehicles may burst. So the reason behind this, if we are filling the tire with excess pressure, then during the summer season the temperature of the surrounding atmosphere will be also high, and at the same time if we are using the vehicle for a longer duration, then due to friction between the tires and the road surface, the air that is present inside the tire, it will also get heat up. That is this will add certain amount of heat to the air that is present inside the tire, and with the increase in this temperature the pressure will also increase, and finally it may cause the bursting of these tires. So again, this is the example of Gay-Lussac's law. Once again, I would like to repeat that these applications or examples are never asked in the paper, but still I am giving these examples so that you can just relate these examples which you are using daily. While studying these applications or examples, you should just understand what is the importance of studying all these gas laws. So this was the main objective for giving these examples. One last example related to this Gay-Lussac's law we'll see in the next slide, and the example is related with the water heater. So the electric water heater is similar to the pressure cooker. The water is heated by the heating filaments inside the heater. We are actually supplying electrical energy to this heater, and in turn this electrical energy will be converted into heat energy due to the filaments that are present inside it. Due to this heating effect, the water that is provided to this heater, that will start to heat up. The temperature of this water will increase after some time, and if still we are supplying the heat continuously, then this water might get converted into steam. However, if the water is not removed out from this heater, then the pressure of the steam will go on increasing, and since the volume in this case, that is in case of water heater, it is constant. As a result of this, due to this high pressure, the heater might get burst. So nowadays the modern electric heaters are automatically regulating the temperature of the water, so the chances of bursting have now decreased. However, if there are problems related with the pressure relief valve mechanism, then the same problem might also occur. So with all these examples, I think you might have now understood the importance of studying Gay-Lussac's law. Okay, now we will stop here today, and in the next lecture we will see the remaining part from the gas laws. We have completed almost 3 laws, that is Boyles Law, Charles' Law and Gay-Lussac's Law, and the remaining one, that is Avogadro's Law. We will see this law in the next lecture, but there is one important thing that you should take note of this. Whatever we have studied in our first lecture and also in this today's second lecture, all the points from these 2 lectures are very important, because all these points, such as assumptions of ideal gas or Boyle's law, Charles' law, Gay-Lussac's law, these questions are asked in the MSBT paper most of the times. From this second lecture, I have made certain changes. Like in the first chapter, we were actually having all the questions from that particular lecture, which was asked in the MSBT paper, but from second chapter, we are having this change. We will try to cover all the MSBT questions from this entire chapter along with the numericals also. Along with all these questions, we will also see what is the expected answer as per the MSBT model answer paper, the marking distribution as per the weightage of the asked question after the end of this chapter. I would also like to suggest you all that it will be better if you are just taking note of all the important points that we are studying during our lectures. So these points, you should just try to recall these points and prepare your own notes. At the end of this chapter, definitely I am going to provide you the notes of this chapter. But if you are having your own notes through this lecture, then it will provide you an advantage and you will be able to study the entire chapter in minimum time. So till then, thank you very much.